Okay, so let's start the webinar. And today I'm going to talk about understanding the flow of the editor and how you can get to quickly writing the answers. Then, uh, then then I'll show how formatting can be done and how images can be inserted into the answers. There are various options for equations using LaTeX that should be taken. And yeah, so I'll show you various tools with which you can achieve these tasks and hopefully write a better answer. So to begin with, I'll take you through the dashboard on the website, which is this. No. So here's the dashboard, which is seen after you sign in with your Stupidsid account. It begins with my collection and will show the active subscriptions that you have with Stupidsid. You can anytime buy and use them. Coming to solved papers, here you can start writing the answers for the various unsolved questions on from universities that have been listed. So right now we have Mumbai, Pune, PT. So then here are the solved answers that might have been attempted by you and would have got accepted or rejected. As you can see, the reason for the reject would also have been mentioned, and you can see them when you click the view answer button. I'll take you to write new answer. This shows the drafts that are pending for you to submit, which you can either start solving right away or choose a new answer. So the basic flow would be choosing a new answer. I will take University of Mumbai and proceed with say electronics and telecom engineering, semester 8 OFC, and I will choose the latest paper, May 2015. And here's a small filter if you want to write short answers or big detailed answers. Here you can choose. So I'll take the filter which says more than 8 marks, and here I have all the 10-mark questions from the May 2015 paper. Likewise, you can also choose other papers or just choose any paper to give you all the questions that are left unanswered. So solving the question 2A from May 2015, explain any one fiber fabrication process with neat diagram, compare different methods of fabrication. Now I think I know this answer, but I don't want to solve this right now. I can choose the solve this later option, which will save this answer in my drafts, which you can see here. And my drafts will now have, I will need to refresh. And my drafts now have 6 unsolved questions, of which the first is explain any one fiber fabrication process. So I can start solving it here. So this is the dashboard, right? Now it shows the question, the marks. Here's some help articles which we will discuss soon. Here's the subject which says optical fiber communication, electronics and telecommunication, SEM 8, Mumbai University. And this link here will take you to the PDF of the original paper as it appeared in the exam. So here you can have a look. In case there's a discrepancy with the question, there's something that is illegible or there's a flaw in the data or some data is missing, you can always refer to the question. This was 2A, so we can zoom into 2A. The question says any one fabrication process, which seems fine. So you can go ahead. The menu says allot an appropriate module for the question. So according to the question, I will just choose one of the modules. Right now it is the overview module. I choose that. This helps readers sort the questions by according to the module, and if they choose to study module wise, it just gets them sorted. Now the next option is mark this answer as repeated from previous answers, which says optional. Now what happens is if you've already written an answer which is same for this current question also, you can always choose, oh, the only the accepted answers have been shown here. So if this answer is matching, you can just select and ask it to load answer. It will get the answer and you can submit. But that again we can see later. For now, let that be. Now coming to the editor area, this blue rectangle you see is the editor area where all your answers will go. So the first thing is you must have observed that the dashboard is on the left tab, and that has been left untouched. The editor opens in a new tab so that you just a second. Okay, so the editor opens in a new window so that you don't get lost while choosing your questions, and you can just save this answer and continue from the previous tab. Now you'll see, as and when I keep typing, the answers the answers will show unsaved changes, and when you press save as draft, the answer will be saved as a draft so that you don't lose your progress. Although this is a manual process, the computer will automatically take care of automatically saving the drafts every 2 minutes, so you do not have to worry about accidentally losing your work in case you are searching for some answer in beside, or you're not around, or you're making the diagrams in another browser window. Your progress will be saved, and the green tick there confirms that your answer has been saved. Coming to the editor area, back, the source button shows the HTML source of the entire answer that you would have written. Right now it contains only 2 sentences, so the HTML code is relatively simple. And if you are acquainted with HTML programming, you can insert tags and use the editor if you want. The red underline shows that it's a spell error, which you can always check by right click. The animation that you saw was auto save, and the draft has been saved again automatically. Yeah. So when you right click on the red highlighted word, it shows you options, and you can choose if there's a typo and choose the right spelling. Coming back to the normal editor mode, I can also use this menu that shows a tick mark with ABC on it. It is called enable scat, which means enable spell check as you type. This will assist you to avoid spell errors. So no harm in keeping it on anyways all the time. So I'll just enable it, and what you see is that when you come to the typing area, it will show the red underline, which means there's a typo, and I can always right click and select the right spelling. So this is a mistake. So now it's not a mistake. Okay, so that was about spell check. In case you have problems with the question, and in case there's some data loss, you can always contact us at study@stupidsid.com. We'll take it from there. So this editor is pretty simple, and yet it has a lot of functionalities that you would need to format your answer. We would suggest that the formatting remains clean, and generally it just helps. The reader finds it better to consume what you want to teach only if it doesn't confuse them. So the answers that are uniformly formatted are generally more pleasing and comfortable to read and understand. So you can take care of that. Some formatting like this would be a disaster and should be avoided. I can just show you samples. Again, it is an auto draft. Avoid formatting like this. It just kills the whole feel. For that, there is format eraser, which is this button. You can always click it and remove all the formatting. And since it's a heading, you can go to format paragraph and choose normal. So this is simple formatting. Now you must be aware about word processing tools, and bold, italics, and underline are pretty standard functions meant to highlight your content. So here's bold. You can see I can use the italics, which will look like this, and an underline will look like this. So this is the basic formatting options. There are shortcuts for italics, bold, and control and underline, which are CTRL plus B, which will be bold. CTRL plus I would be italics, and CTRL plus U would be underline. So these are the standard functions that you would have observed on any editor. Okay. Beyond this, you might have formula like HNO3, which would be nitric acid. But for 3, the subscript function is here. So you don't need to write HNO3 in the typical ugly fashion that we see on the web. There's an editor, there's the subscript function, you can use that. For mathematical expression, simple expression like x squared would be denoted as, I'll have to turn off, x squared would be denoted as x raised to 2. Normally you would, in a calculator style, you would do this, but while humans would understand this, what would look better and simpler to consume is x raised to 2, which means 2 would be the power, and that is raised using the subscript function. Now moving on, there is, for emphasis or de-emphasis, you can use the strike through function. So if you figure out that you don't need to mention something, but you still want to include it, you can always strike it off and it can be there. Okay, so then there is bullet list. So I will just clear formatting. Okay, so for something like this, I would say okay. So when you have 3 points, the most simplest way to list it down is like this. Like you just type it, hit enter, and write the next sentence or the next point. But when it is a list, you can always use the bullet list function, which will club it together and present it in the form of bullet points. So there's a style which differentiates the points, helps your reader to visually differentiate the two different styles of content. Now, so this is a bullet list. In case you need ordered list, there's this option called insert or remove numbered list. With numbered list, the thing is every point is an incremental value with respect to the previous one. So this is point number 1. I will make it point number 1. Point number 1, point number 2, and point number 3. So what this does is, and every time you hit enter, it keeps you ready for the 4th point, and thus it's just a better content management system compared to just writing the points in bulk. And if you double enter, you will end the list. If you right click the list anywhere in the list, you will see numbered list properties, which helps you define the type of list that you want to write. So here's lower Roman, capital Roman, lower alphabets, capital alphabets, and decimal. So I can choose lower alphabets, and the list will show as ABCD. So I will write point A, point B, point C, and point D. You are the boss and you can decide the type of list you want to make. These are the options available. In case you have broken the list and there's some content here and you want to continue the list. So ideally the HTML editor will start the list with A, but you can always override it by saying this is the third point. So start with 3, hit OK. So it will make it C and D, and then you can continue. Right. So these are the options that bullet list. And now there could be, I'll show you what sublists are available. Okay. Now suppose point B has two submenus. So point C and point D have to be right indented as shown with this function or using the tab button on your keyboard. So when you hit the indent, you increase indent, it becomes point 1, sub point 1 of the point B. Hit indent on the C point, it will become point sub point 2 with respect to point B. Now same style settings can apply for subpoints. You can make it, firstly you can make it a numbered list or an unnumbered list. So this is an unnumbered list. If you want to make it a numbered list, just select, just undo, it will be the point list, and you can change the characters that you use to display them. So point B has subpoints 1 and subpoint 2. So that was about the subpoints. Now this pretty much solves most of your textual queries, uh, like points pertaining to the content of the answer. With respect to different types of content, you can always explore the options here. What you see here is a globe with a link button, and what it does is it lets you create an hyperlink to any place on the web. So when you click that, when you select any text and click that button, you are asked for an option for URL. So I can take you to a page which is a Quinn McCluskey solver, and I have a solved example here. So when I take this and I link it to my text there, so what I've done is, for example, here's the entire solution, and at the end of the answer, I've written for an illustrated live demo, you can visit this link here, which will take you to quinnmccluskey.com, and this will be the page where they see the solution. So this is the solution, and for the numerical, this is the answer, and basically it's a Quinn McCluskey solver. Coming back to the editor, so these are hyperlinks. If you feel the need to send your reader to some other place on the web for additional resources, you can insert hyperlinks. Some of its typical uses would be taking a user to a Wikipedia plot, Wikipedia animation, or a graph somewhere on the internet. But take care that the content should not interfere with the answer, and this hyperlink content is not an alternative or replacement to the answer you submit on Stupidsid. All external references must be added at the end of the answer to avoid ambiguity. So, like I said, now if you have I've written the answer already and you want to mark it as repeat, you'll get the credits for it anyway. And basically, without writing the answer 2 times, you're just letting the system know that this answer is repeated and can be marked from here. So when you load that answer and press submit, everything else will be taken care of. Now LaTeX. For mathematical equations, Let me introduce to a very new language called LaTeX, and it's mainly used to enter complex mathematical formulas, but which are rendered in HTML live on the web. So here's so when you press the Sigma button, it opens up a dialog box which has a very simple demo equation for solving quadratic equation, which says x is equal to minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac upon 2a. Now this is a very basic demo, and it's a default option, so I'll just choose to delete it, and I will show you what it basically does. So when I say a divided by b, it prints a divided by b. When I write a space b, it doesn't print the space. So basically, the attribute of the language is that a slash would indicate a function. So slash space would indicate a blank character. Now that was about simple functions. Now very basic. We've listed all the LaTeX functions on this page. How to use LaTeX? So here's the page called. I will insert the hyperlink here and mention it in the video later. So this link will take you to all the documentation that we have for LaTeX, and let us go there. So HTML and LaTeX work differently. LaTeX is meant to be flexible and dynamic, whereas HTML is relatively older and hence was not designed to be dynamic. With LaTeX, you can write formulas that change with respect to the page and can accommodate more complex functions. So here are the basic alphabets that you would need in LaTeX. So an alpha would appear only when you write slash alpha. So let us try that. Now if I want to write alpha, I choose the LaTeX function. I click select all and I remove that. So LPHA would give me alpha. Okay. So that has been inserted into the answer. So you see how functions can be called. So all these Greek symbols are the commonly used functions and have been included here for reference. So I can show you another example with respect to omega, suppose. So if I want to write resistance, say R is equal to 25 omega. So I'll write capital omega, which shows R25 omega. So that is about the special character. Now, common mathematical operators. So degree would be so let me show you the basic functions. So you must have observed this is b square, right? And in isolation, I can show it to you as b raised to 2. So when you write this operator, it puts all the values after that operator in the superscript. So when I enclose it with braces, it treats the entire term as the superscript. So braces are important. If the braces don't exist, you can see what will happen. EX would be shifted down. So you know how to limit the functions with the braces. Similarly, a subscript can be obtained by using underscore. So b underscore 2 would be b subscript 2. So again, same logic for braces. So if I want to write a bigger phrase or bigger expression inside the subscript, I'll have to use braces. So these are basic subscript, superscript in LaTeX. You can see the other symbols have their shortcodes and they have their functions in HTML and LaTeX respectively. So there's integral sign, there's therefore. So therefore is pretty simple. Slash therefore is therefore, and since or because is slash because. Then not equal to is slash any, and things like that. slash LE is less than or equal to, slash GE is greater than or equal to. And the most common functions are found here. So let us move on to standard structures. As discussed, the subscript is taken care of by the operator underscore, and superscript happens with the raised to operator. And as you move on from for other mathematical operations, you can see slash times becomes a cross or a multiplication operator. Fraction can be obtained using slash dfrac. So I can show you a demo. Suppose I want to write a upon b. So I can write slash dfrac and then the two parameters that I have to pass to the function, which are a and b. Now that will not work because I have written slash dfrac ab. It has to be specified with a space, right? So because there are only one character parameters, they will work a upon b. But in case I have something more complex, so if I want to write 20a upon 23b, that is not how I write, and you see the way it treats the input. So I will limit the scope by using brackets, curly brackets, and then it sets me to 20a upon 23b. The functions inside the bracket could be anything that you imagine, and all the combinations of any mathematical equations that you have will work um, with your equations. What is it? Slash circle. So if I wanted to write 20 degree upon x square minus y, I can write it unambiguously using dfrac, and it graphically shows me the output. So I can confirm that and proceed with the next thing. And so there are symbols, there are basic structures, then there is differentiation, for which you can use slash mathrm, and the format has been shown. Request you to go through all the formats and all the structures, because somewhere or the other you will end up using them. You can obtain bigger brackets by using slash big keyword. Slash capital big would be a bigger a bigger bracket, and so on. There are logarithmic functions, there are trigonometric functions, there are matrices, and then there's alignment, for which right now the example shows alignment along equal to sign that you can see here, which is obtained by using the AND keyword, the AND operator rather. So wherever you put the AND, it will align it with the character just after that. So that's the sample, and we can take it to the editor and I can show you a live output. So basically it has aligned all the equations with equal to as the point of alignment. I hit OK and it has been inserted in my answer. Okay. Now if you see, there's a link called text documentation, which is a wiki books link of all the text, all the standard equations that are available in text format, text language. So you can go through this page if you need more help on LaTeX. Obviously we are always there, and you can also write to us, but most of the things would be sorted here if you seek for help, and you can achieve it using the samples and demos that they have shown. So there are various formats for half or fractions, then there is continuous fractions, then there's multiplication, there's square roots, there are big higher square roots. So SQRT and n in the bracket will take care of the higher powers. So you can see all these equations and all the standard functions that can be used in LaTeX. Coming over to the table. Okay. At times there would be, it could be possible that there's normal text, and the same thing is what you can achieve using HTML LaTeX also. So I would say that if an entire sentence can be achieved in LaTeX, don't feel shy from using it. So basically, it separates the textual part from a mathematical part, and avoid confusing an HTML with LaTeX. Suppose I write 20x plus, now I want to write square root. So because I can't enter that with my standard keyboard, I'll go to the LaTeX and I'll start writing sqrt space. Now that is what I wanted to insert. So now, uh, if this is the equation that I wanted to write, I have achieved that, but it is basically a mixture of HTML and LaTeX, which just looks broken. And if you go on, there might be places where you would have to write, where you would choose to write, therefore, or things like that, or explain something and continue with the equation. What I would suggest is avoid using ambiguous mathematical formula in HTML. Take all the mathematical part into cut it and open the equation. Put it all in the LaTeX editor and keep it all unambiguous. Preferably take the therefore also inside, unless you have to specifically write it. So I have written therefore 20x plus square root of x, and it is all clear and unambiguous entirely in LaTeX. So avoid mixing up HTML and LaTeX. Keep the text in English, that is in LaTeX, in HTML, and put the mathematical parts of your answer into LaTeX. If in case you haven't formatted your answer well or used LaTeX, our moderators might have to reject your answer, but don't worry, they'll help you out with the reason and they'll let you know how you can fix it. In case you need more help with LaTeX, there are these websites that provide an online editor. So one of it is called Codecogs, and I will again provide you the link that you can use to access it. I will write it down here. So the LaTeX editor, and what it does is that it provides you with a graphical interface of all the functions that it provides. So suppose I want to write summation of x plus 2. So I go to the summation menu. I go to this menu which has a group of functions. I choose summation, which is basically slash sum, and I write inside a bracket x raised to 2 plus 4x is equal to n. I don't know if this function makes any sense mathematically or not, but if this is what I wanted to write, I've inserted that equation and I can quickly confirm my answer with the output, and I can copy and get it to our editor. This is, I guess, required for some time till you get a hang of it, and then I think you should be good here itself. But anyway, the tool helps you to structure your formula better. You should use it. I can show you an example of a matrix which will ask me for the dimension. So I say 3, 3. Okay. Now, as you know, the AND operator, the ampersand operator, is for aligning the characters. So technically it is just doing that, and I will say 3, 3, 0, 0, 6, whatever the matrix be. Yeah. So basically it has interfered with the previous equation. I can just omit that part. Yeah. So here's the matrix, clean and neat. I can just take it, use it in my answer, and proceed. So here's my matrix. Here it displays beautifully, and you can write the answer beyond that. So that was about LaTeX and other LaTeX structures. If you need any more help, you can always reach out to us. I will take you through a small page that we've made to help you with the editor. So here's, as we discussed, bold, italics, underline, strike through, subscript, and superscript, which is what we've grouped as basic text formatting. So you can achieve this. Then the presentation matters because it makes sense to use bullet points where you can use them, and there are more than three reasons to use numbered lists. So that's why numbered list exists. And then there are styles with lists. For mathematical formulas, there is LaTeX, and I shall take you to the table editor after this. So this is a table editor. This is LaTeX as we saw. Here are some sample equations. Remember, sine was a trigonometric function, so I've written slash sine and not just sine, which differentiates the style in which it is reproduced. So there's alpha, which is not same as proportionality. Then there is x, which is not same as the multiplication symbol. So take care of things like these and be sure what you want to input. This tool here helps you insert images, which I will show you how to. And this is a symbols and symbols insert icon, which would not be of great use if you use the HTML version anyway. For the HTML versions of Greek alphabets, I will have to take you to article. I will have to take you back to the alphabet page. Okay, so the HTML version of alpha, the code says and alpha colon. So I can just copy that code. But when I use it inside the visual editor, it will just say and alpha colon and not generate the symbol. What happens here is that and alpha is the HTML code, which is understood only by the HTML compiler. So you can go to the source code and when you replace that part with and alpha colon and you view the output, you will see the and alpha colon turn into the alpha symbol. That is how HTML characters work, and anything from this list would operate in the similar fashion. Or you can just copy paste the rendered icon here. And I can show you the mu sigma mu icon that I've copied. This will be mu, and if you go to the source code, it will show so when I go to the source code, it shows and alpha colon for the alpha and mu colon for the mu. So you can either choose the HTML symbol or copy the symbols from the list here. That is about going around with mathematical and symbols, mathematical equations and symbols. Now I will show you how to insert images. Or we can take the tables first. First, I'll show you a very dirty example of tables that should be avoided at all costs, and that is this particular example here. It says differentiate between temporary and permanent hardness. Now, as you see, the person who's written this answer has written all of it in flowing text, which means the HTML cannot differentiate between the two columns. Although visually it looks like it's a shabby job done at differentiating the two columns, but HTML has a provision for this and it can be easily done using tables. So when I go to my answer, I say insert table. It's a small pop-up which asks me for rows and columns. I can choose 4 rows and 2 columns. The width could be 100% if it's going to occupy the full width of your screen. You can choose borders. I will choose cell spacing as 0 and a simple 10 pixel padding which keeps enough space around the text. So I choose OK and it shows me a blank table. Now I'll show you what the table looks like. So basically, one more. So this was the answer that the person has written, and when put in a table form, it can be managed better, appears better, more flexible, more reliable, everything better. So insert tables and not text which looks like table. Avoid this at all cost. So you can insert your content here, point one, point two, whatever be the content. Fill up the table style. So fill up the table. Here's the standard formatting that we suggest. These are the various options. So cell properties would show you cell properties, and then you can choose background color as black. Center align the text. Font right. Font font. Okay, so basically you can then choose the color and make it white so that the table appears well formatted. And this is pretty neat for now. So these are the tables. You can insert more columns if needed. You can insert a column after. This is pretty basic, and you must have experienced table editors like these before on the internet and in other softwares also. So this is about table. You can insert rows, delete rows, edit the table, and manipulate it as you wish. So I will delete the table for now. Now upload images. So if there's a need to explain a concept using diagrams, I can always use images, and images are a very powerful source to do that. Make sure that if it is referenced correctly to the text that you want to illustrate and doesn't point or mispoint to other part of your answer. Readers would always uh, should be able rather to draw the diagrams that you show in their exams easily, and it should not be like an art exam for them. We would not encourage the use of colors vividly, but when used to highlight a part of your data in the image, I think the colors do a great job. I can show you a lot of examples for what images we've been using in our content, and it should help you understand about what images can do. So here's a simple graph for the inductive and capacitive circuits under different frequency. What I want to highlight is that this diagram is not created using a professional software to edit images, nor has it been done by a professional draftsman. This has been done on a PowerPoint slide, and the colors used are just used to show the values of the graph, and everything else, as you can see, is in black or gray. So the sanity or the overall impact that the image has is because of its data and not overwhelmed by the colors that it has. So I'll take you through other tools and simple ways you can create diagrams. But what I wanted to show here is that colors can be used, but they need to solve a purpose or need to have a impact on the user, on the reader. So here's another database diagram which shows relations between the various entities, and this has been done on raw.io. This is a K-map. You may not be, everyone might not be aware with the concept, but can basically the various parts of the images are highlighted and color coded such that it marks the particular data, and those acquainted with the subject will know what the significance of the data is. Similarly, this image here shows the entire concept of a 4-bit binary adder, of which the most crucial part is the correction addition of the correction factor, which has been taken care of here. But when highlighted in the diagram, it conveys the same information with more impact, and that is what we are looking for, and that is what this digital medium is up to offer you. This is a mechanics diagram, and again completely done on PowerPoint. This again is a Hamming code explanation entirely through one image using a solved example. So we'd encourage you to use colors that have meaning and not because they existed like that in a particular textbook or a particular website. So here the X-ray beam is the only thing in color that pretty much enhances its effect and makes it clear to understand. Here you will see use of 4 colors, but the 4 signals that are 1, 2, 3, and 4 have been given different colors, and when they are added, you can see the colors take a separate position on the timeline, and which is why the importance of colors is justified, or rather the use of colors is justified. Notice that all these diagrams are extremely simple, and any reader can draw it with their pencil in the exam without taking much time. This is a simple windmill, and if you notice all the complexities, I messed up there with the screen share. I will just take it to PowerPoint and take you through all the diagrams again. Screen share PowerPoint. Okay, so as explained earlier, I will now show you the images that previously mentioned. So these are the colored graphs, and only the graph is in color. And again, one color because it is all showing the same data. It makes an impact, and the color doesn't overwhelm the user. This image again would I would like to tell you that has been made on a simple PowerPoint slide. This image is made on raw.io. This was the K-map that I was talking about. The color coding is enough to explain any reader, especially if you've written about it in the answer above and then followed by this diagram. There is no way a reader cannot understand your concept. This is the 4-bit binary adder. This is a diagram from mechanics. This is the Hamming code diagram. This is the X-ray diagram that I spoke of. So you notice the X-ray in red color, and that pretty much tells you that the importance of color. This is TDMA, and the use of the 4 colors has been justified, as you can see. Now back to windmill. So this windmill has a gear transmission box, has a generator, has a shaft, has hubs, holdings, blades, and high-speed shafts. But if you can see, all this has been abstracted in simple shapes. So a gearbox transmission has been shown as a simple rectangle. A generator or the motor has been shown again as a simple combination of rectangles. But the essence of this is that when you're explaining the answer, you're not going to explain what sits inside the gearbox transmission or the specification of the generator. If you could make a diagram which is simple, you could not, you can, there's no way you can explain the answer in any better terms. So simple diagrams, simple explanation is what is needed. Now, for this question, I'll need to show you an answer which it was referenced to. Now I will have to change the screen share setting to yeah. So I will show you the answer that I was referring to. So the question is list the networking components and map all networking components with OSI layer for 5 marks. And it is from MU HTC over here. Now you can see the answer is pretty raw in terms of presentation, in terms of content, styling, pretty much everything. So you don't have to, so it will not take you any guesses for knowing why it is not accepted. So continuing with the explanation, this is a very raw answer, and what we were looking for was something like, was not anything like this. So I'll show you what we thought could be a better alternative. So here's the OSI model. Here's the TCP model. If you see, has have been enclosed by rectangles of different colors. And this is the TCP/IP protocol suite. So all the protocols corresponding to all the layers have been mapped through different styles of, through different networking protocols. So this is pretty much neat and abstracted as per the question for 5 marks. And if you want, you could include some explanation, but this is pretty much neat and sharp. Going ahead with the TCP suite, here's a very detailed slide that I've made and I would like to share with you. Which is this. So you can see the use of colors. I'll just shift to full screen and you could see all the 7 layers of the OSI model, its application and the protocols along with it. There's there's all the explanation that you ever need of this, and the entire concept of OSI model is just this one page. If you know this, you know it all. So that was about TCP/IP, and with respect to one example that I wanted to share. Going back to the images, I'll take you to what other users have submitted. So this is a camera phone captured image that from a from some textbook or some print media that we don't know. But what we know is that it is hazy, it's unclear and just illegible. Instead, what you could create is something like this, which is just simple, neat and bold. There's no way anyone wants to use an image like this, and there's no way anyone would dislike an image like this. So you know what um, what is more pleasing and what people love to read and remember for their life. Going on with another example, here is a camera phone captured image of from some famous professor's notes, And apart from it being copyrighted material, using this inside the answer is terribly incorrect. So what we suggest is you could make a simple graphic using the tools like PowerPoint or Draw.io and just create a simple diagram and insert it in the answer. Okay. Not all would be comfortable with using those tools on the computer. So here are some samples of images that we thought we could write an answer on the paper and share it with you. So while you see here, the image on the left is inconsistently lit and isn't the best perspective of a rectangular page. The one on the right again seems slightly better, but has varying light across. You can see a dark shadow here, and it's just inconsistent. But if you find this simple, there are ways to get around this and make these images look better. We can help you with the tools. So here in PowerPoint, you can use the crop function and first cut out everything that you don't need of the image. And here we have a cutout version. Now, in the format option, you can choose color and desaturate the color. So what it basically does is it will remove all traces of the color, with that the paper also. So the paper can also be relatively transparent. Although it needs more treatment, we can begin with desaturation. So choose the image again, and when you go to correction, there are various options for brightness and contrast. And with the right tuning, you could end up with a better looking diagram. And this for now seems fine. We can try more variations. So a blackout. Uh, so you see the black and white image option works fine, but what happens is that the black ghosting on the right hand side is due to the shadow is just unacceptable. So choose to move on and replace it with a better source. So we tried another camera phone. So this is a relatively smoother image, sharp, yet it has traces of ununiform lighting. So I guess you should avoid this also. Now the best that we could make. Okay, here's another image which is slightly better lit, but isn't in the right perspective. So you can see V3 is out of focus, but 4V3 is sharply in focus. So to make things uniform and neat, this is the image. It seems pretty legit and clean. So we can start with crop. I crop out the unwanted bits of the image sharply, and yeah. So I have the image. Now I choose format and I desaturate. Oh, so in one shot, if you choose 100% the 50% black and white, you have just what we need. So this is right from a camera phone. No treatment needed, no expertise needed with advanced in Photoshop type tools. You can just save this picture and then use it in the answer like a simple drag and drop should be enough. So I will save the picture as image underscore circuit. When I go to my answer, I will need to change the screen. Screen. So when I go to my answer, I can just drag the image underscore socket inside the editor, and here it is. You can adjust it to 100% width, and that should be fine. Delete the height. Okay, okay, 100%. if you've chosen lock ratio, you will set the height and you are good to go. You can also change it to say 60% if it isn't needed that it occupies the entire screen. So this is fine and it looks great. I can show you. So this is how you can achieve a simple image manipulation using PowerPoint. And I will take you back to I. I will take you back to the PowerPoint. Yeah. So that was if you have a nice phone camera, which pretty much everyone has now. So this is a very acceptable image, although it is not generated by a computer. It is, and it is pretty decent looking and bold enough to be consistently used in your answers. Now here's a scanned copy of the answer, and if I choose crop, so basically I have cropped till what I wanted. I can fine tune it with slightly more precision, and when I choose color, 50% black and white, this still doesn't do the job for me because it's slightly light. So I would rather choose a higher contrast initially. And now, if I choose the 50% dark option, feel free to try various variations because the output will vary depending on the quality of your image and the attributes of your image. So try and obtain what best you can with your image. You can sharpen it and then probably try the black and white tool. So here it is, pretty much sharper and better. Yet what wins is the image from the smartphone, and this is smooth, nice and crisp. So that's about the image. Images are done. In case you need more help with images, feel free to contact us. Our moderators would gladly help you. Then one last thing I would like to take you through are the answers, some of the answers that we've not accepted over the past few months. I'll show them to you now, and they are here. So we'll always reject your answer along with a specific reason that it has not been accepted for. Act upon the reason, and we ensure you that the answers would be accepted and the credits would be given out. So let's discuss these particular cases. Mention power consumption of MSP 430 in different operating modes. Now what we look for is very sharply the right focus to the question. And when the focus of the question is mention power consumption, you cannot leave your answers unambiguous. The specifics of the power consumption have to be mentioned, and if they are not, they clearly would end up being rejected. So low supply voltage range, ultra low power consumption, 5 power waking, saving modes. All these are but ambiguous terms, and without the mention, they do not serve the purpose of the answer. So that is one answer. Going to another question. Explain application of BLDC motor and servo motor. So the focus of the question is explain application. So just stating the application is not what we are looking for. Although the applications have to be stated, but brief explanations of a few of them all of them have to be mentioned because that is the question. And if it is not adhering to the focus of the question, we will not be able to accept it. So all these are wide applications of servo motors, robotics, sewing machine, portable drilling machine, but without the explanation, they are as good as unanswered. Now here, again, this image firstly is copied from a source on the internet, and that is a reason enough to be disqualified. So we rejected the answer, and if the writer wants to act upon the issue, they can still act and change the answer and resubmit it. So, talking about the question, draw and explain electromagnetic spectrum for communication. So, what has been explained is pretty vague and ambiguous. So, radio is not a radio, a part of the electromagnetic spectrum. All these waves are technically radio waves. Apart from the technicality, um, this segment could be FM or AM, but explanations have to be something that is meant for engineering students and not your parents. And you don't want to just talk about the technology in abstract terms, like your radio captures radio waves emitted by radio stations, bring in your favorite tunes, be more specific and talk about the engineering concepts behind them. So microwave will cook your popcorn in just a few minutes, but is also used by astronomers to learn. So don't talk about popcorn, which is not a part of your engineering concepts. Here, the question belongs to a module called Introduction to Mobile Computing. So in the paradigm of mobile computing, draw and explain electromagnetic spectrum for communication. So a lot of these waves that are not used for communication would anyway be out of the answer, and the answer is expected to be more oriented for engineering students who have to learn the concept and then create and push the limits of the technology that they are learning about. So gamma ray, doctors use gamma ray imaging to see inside your body. The biggest gamma ray generator of all universe is just unanswered. So avoid. Never write answers that are like these. Then I showed you the one with a table which was no table. So then this is poor formatting and the flow chart is copied. So the answer has been rejected. Now SCR is a semi-controlled device. Justify. So a moderator also check for sharpness in engineering content, and if the flow doesn't suit well, and if it isn't able to if you're not able to express what you have in your mind, we'll sadly have to not accept it. And also for 5 marks, the people at the university expect a certain length of the answer. Try to keep that in mind. This is the OSI layer protocol, which we have discussed. Now dynamic memory allocation. As you can see, this answer hasn't been formatted well. Well, that is still acceptable. The point is, this answer was copied and identified as a copy, so has been rejected. Write a short note on carbide inserts for 4 marks, and you would know what the problem with this answer would have been. Again here, the 3D image of the gear clearly looks like it's been copied from a textbook, and hence it should be avoided. Apart from the content of the answer, the image is copied. Now you can see if the formatting isn't fine, things are just blown out of proportion literally. So you can take care to not let it happen. And here are some help articles that I like to quickly go through with you. So the article says how to write a good answer. Beginning with an inspiration, great content and great knowledge. which best answers a question is the simplest way possible is a good answer. So original content. Then focus and sharpness, like I said, you can see a few examples. One is advantage of glucose. What would be acceptable is glucose can be found in abundance and processed at very low cost and is cheaply available. What is unacceptable is that glucose is cheap and very efficient. That is just vague, unambiguous, and doesn't solve anything. Another question which is not sharply answered is application of computer graphics. The answer that we received is computer graphics is used in television, mobile, PlayStation. Computer graphics is also used in gaming. This may not be a factually incorrect answer, but we're trying to teach engineers. So we need sharp answers, and when it comes to technical knowledge, this is plainly shallow. We discussed why great presentation is needed, and you can use the various tools in the editor to achieve it. There is spell check and there is grammar check available. You can make use of them. There are online presentation tools, like I said, raw.io. Then there's fooplot for graphic plotting. There's Wolfram Alpha to solve all your engineering related computations. You can make use of these tools and achieve a better answer. We've already gone through the editor part. I'll shut that. You should know about credits. When you write an answer, you get 10 times the marks. So if you write a 2-mark answer, you will get 20 credits. But if you write a 10-mark question, you get 100. And probably by solving two 10-mark questions, you can get the subscription for the next semester for free. Then you can write Viva questions and answers. And once people start reading your answers, they'll be open to feedback and people will thank you and suggest you any improvements if there are any. So as a reward, you get a certificate depending on the amount of content you contribute to the community, and then you can start writing the answers. So here's a lot of help with regards to how you can achieve really nice diagrams. The simplest way is, of course, taking a scanned copy and using PowerPoint to do the slide image manipulations. I think we've covered most of the aspects of the editor and how to answer. So I would like to end the seminar here and would like to invite any queries. If you can, email us at study@stupidsid.com or mention it in the comments below. Good luck and start writing. Bye.